The federal government and the Nigeria Interreligious Council on Thursday failed to convince the striking Academic Staff Union of Universities to call off their industrial action. The meeting was convened by Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, and was co-chaired by the Sultan of Sokoto, Sahad Abubakar, and President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Reverend Samson Ayokunle. The interventions could not persuade the leadership of ASUU to return to the classrooms while negotiations were ongoing. It was gathered that the federal government and the faith-based groups attempted to persuade the striking lecturers to return to the classrooms during the closed-doors technical session, promising that their demands will be met. We are now being joined for a quick review of this development by Dr. Dele Ashiru, who is chairman of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, University of Lagos chapter. Welcome to the program, Dr. Ashiru.
Thank you for this invitation. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Everybody has appealed to ASUU, including the President of Nigeria, with promises that the demands of ASUU will be met. Meetings have been held. ASUU is still adamant. Why is ASUU ignoring everybody's appeal?
Well, the issues are not about appeals. They're about action. And one should feel that rather than these appeals, if concrete proposals were put on the table, the appeals will be really unnecessary. Let me say that we had an agreement with government, a proposal since May 2021. This is May 2022. And up till now, nobody seemed to be talking about that proposal. So one should think that if government is serious about these appeals, what we should be talking about is sitting down to look at those proposals and to say, okay, this we can, this we can't, this we can, or this we can't. What do you think we can do? Now, calling a meeting which I described as a jamboree, because at that meeting you have our union, you have other unions in the university system, NIREC, NLC, 2UC, and all others. That's not the kind of meeting that can resolve this crisis. So we are saying that the committee set up by the president on the 1st of February, comprising the chief of staff to the president, Professor Gambari, the Minister of Labour, Education and Finance, are those who could sit down and resolve the matter rather than all of these political appeals that we are getting from government.
Well, is strike the only option available to ASUU? ASUU was on strike for 9 months in 2020. In 2010, for 5 months. In between, we have had 59 days in 2017, 3 months in 2018, 1 week in 2014. Every opportunity to go on strike, ASUU goes on strike. Beyond the appeals. Now, you talked about 2021. There was the 2009 agreement. There was the 2020 memorandum of action. The question, why I listed the periods within which ASUU has been going on strike since 2009, is ASUU being fair to students and parents? The students are now going onto the roads. They are blocking expressways. And they are saying, look, we're tired of staying at home. Does ASUU sometimes even think of the concern of students and parents?
Yes, we do.
How?
We do because, but for those strikes, there will be nothing called public universities in Nigeria anymore. And the strikes are paying off. The little concessions that we are getting from government is consequent upon the strikes. And it is only now that students and our students and their parents and Nigerians are being fair to us. I mean, these struggles are not ASUU struggles. They are struggles to save public university system in Nigeria. And you know it. Look, I invite you to the University of Lagos, one of Nigeria's flagship, and see the decay and the conditions under which students they learn. And as I speak with you, the little concessions, the little, gleam of hope that you have for universities are consequent upon the strike. So the strikes are paying off. And we have also thrown this challenge to intellectuals outside the ivory tower. If you think that strikes are not, the option available or the only option, we are open to suggestions. Look, in 2018, when we went on strike, we had a memorandum of action. We moved away from memorandum of understanding to memorandum of action, presided over by this same labor minister, Chris Ngige. And none of the items on that memorandum of action was faithfully, implemented until the 2020 strike with another memorandum of action. Now that memorandum of action is also being breached until the Professor Muzali Jubril committee came with that proposal I talked about earlier, which was submitted in May 2021. Between May 2021 and today, a few weeks to making it a whole year, government had that document. In spite of our agitation, in spite of numerous letters written to, government agencies, no action. We were to commence this strike action in October last year. NIREC, we were at a National Executive Council meeting to declare the strike when the Sultan of Sokoto and the co-chair of NIREC called the leadership of the union to say, give us some more time. And then we asked the specific times. How long? They say, okay, between 1 or 2 months. And then in the press statement that we released, we alluded to the fact that, look, we would have commenced this strike earlier, but for NIREC's intervention and the intervention of some other one, including the chief of staff, who is now calling a jamboree meeting. And then we waited. On 3 months after, at the National Executive Council meeting at the University of Lagos, we reviewed, the promises even by NIREC. They met the president, they promised, they appealed, they met us, and we made it clear that, look, the situation is so bad that unless that agreement is reviewed, we would have to go on strike. And up till as I am talking to you, there has not been any concerted effort by any of the agencies or committees set, including the Nimi BRICS committee, to discuss with us on the way forward on that agreement. And we must renegotiate that agreement. You may want to ask me why. Let me just paint some pictures about the necessity to review that agreement. The 2009 agreement had 4 pillars. The first is condition of service, under which we work. The second is funding for revitalization. The third is university autonomy and academic freedom. The fourth is other matters related thereto. Now, on conditions of service, we have been receiving the same salary since 2009 till date. And in that 2009 agreement, there's a proviso that either government or our union can call for a review of the agreement. So if government is unable to meet, the demands of the agreement, what stops it from inviting our union to say, let us do a review?
No. Government says ASUU is asking for 200 billion naira per annum.
Where?
And our government cannot provide 200 billion naira.
There's nowhere our union said that. For point of emphasis, the bit about 200 billion was government's promise. When in 2013, there was the report of the needs assessment. If you want to see the report, I can avail you one. And government and our union agreed that, look, in order to, stop the decay, there is the need to inject 1.3 trillion into public universities in Nigeria. And government, typically, there's no money, but they can find money to do whatever they want to do, including donations, frivolous donations to, countries outside there. Now, when they said there was no money, we agreed that, okay, if there's commitment to inject these funds, you can spread it over 5 years. That was why President Goodluck Jonathan released the first tranche, 200 billion, in 2013. Between 2013 and today, nothing. So the 200 billion is not even meant for ASUU. It's meant for the revitalization of government universities. And even government is not releasing it. And we are saying that we will not receive handouts from government. Let us negotiate. Okay, you don't have 200 billion. Put what you have on the table for the development of the universities. They have not started talking about the conditions of service of those who teach in the university. So, ASUU is not asking for 200 billion from government. What we are saying is live to the promise that you made. And that's why we are also even taking these promises, with a pinch of salt. Because if you made promises and you won't fulfill the promise, so how are we going to be sure that when you make another one, you are going to implement it? So the bit is that the 2009 agreement must be renegotiated. There's a document by the Musa Ali Jubril-led government negotiating team. Government can scoop it up wherever it is and give a proposal. And then we can take it from there.
Okay. According to the Punch editorial today, Punch has an editorial on this subject. Federal government resolved the lingering ASUU crisis, Punch newspaper advises. And it is indicated in that editorial that there will be a meeting tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Between the federal government and the ASUU team. Now, what do you think it will take to end this strike? Oh. The students are protesting, the parents are protesting, the government is appealing, religious bodies are appealing. When ASUU goes to that meeting tomorrow, what will ASUU be saying to government? Because we all want this matter to be resolved.
I think you should have phrased the question the other way. What is government?
You want to teach me my job?
Not exactly,
go ahead.
But
I've been in this job for over 30 years.
I know, but it should be what is government bringing to the table? With all the explanations I have offered, the question should not be what would ASUU be bringing. It should be what government is bringing.
Okay, rephrase it and answer
it's already rephrased. We will wait to see what proposals is coming from government. Because as it stands, we also go on strike at great pains. Our colleagues' promotions are kept in abeyance. Their salaries have been seized, by government. Our colleagues who are also students whose career advancement is dependent on their completion of their programs are also there. But we must do this if we want to continue to have what is called public university system in Nigeria. Secondly, our union is always open, to negotiation. In fact, one of the principles of our union is you must attend any meeting you are invited to. And we are prepared to meet government tomorrow. We hope that meeting will be much more fruitful than the one held last week. We hope that whoever is representing government at that meeting will have a proposal for us to discuss. And you can be rest assured that we will discuss, very frankly and very honestly.
Okay. Look, one major poster is this. There are persons in Nigeria, parents, students, stakeholders, who say that the reason we have this problem with ASUU talking about autonomy and all of that, and payment system, IPs, UTAS, whatever, is that Nigerian academics do not want to follow international best practice. There are universities that talk about autonomy internationally. They self-fund. You can't say government should give you salary, fund you, and at the same time you are not a finance generating unit. So if universities want autonomy, they should be able to generate their own resources as is done in other parts of the world. And that ASUU is not as saintly as it appears to be, as it claims to be, given some of the crises they've had in a place like the Obafemi Awolowo University, where ASUU and management are perpetually at loggerheads. What do you say to that?
Oh, thank you very much.
So it's not enough for ASUU to just say we are saints. They are not. Is that the way it is done in other parts of the world?
ASUU lays no claim to sainthood.
Okay.
Let me make that clear. But we aspire, to be the best. You see, we must refrain from this narrative of if you want autonomy, then you do it in a particular manner. First, it is the business, the responsibility of government to educate its citizens.
Under chapter 2, but how about international best practice?
Yeah, I'm coming to answer those questions. Talking about international best practices, I'm not aware of any university anywhere in the world where government has hands off its funding 100%. I am not aware, and I'll be very glad if I can be exposed to that. Having said that, the role of the university system in a developing country like Nigeria cannot be compared with that same role with a country like the United States, for example. In Nigeria, if you want universities to be self-funding, we've been told that years back by the apostles of structural adjustment and all that, wherein they were even told that, universities should be commercialized and privatized so that only those who can pay, can access those courses in the university. Our union is opposed to that. What our union is saying is that at this level of Nigeria's development, education cannot be so commercialized, because to do so is to exclude the majority of Nigerian students who are brilliant but indigent. Take, for example, the private universities that we have in Nigeria, in spite of the humongous fees that they charge, are today asking for government funding through tech fund. What that tells us is that there's no university in Nigeria today that can self-fund. Now, if we then realize that, how do we make education accessible to the vast majority whose father's pay is 30,000 naira minimum wage? Today, I watched a video, Institute of Management in Enugu. The students went on rampage because the Polytechnic authorities hiked fees from 85,000 naira to 245.
ASUU is starting a strike tomorrow.
ASUU is starting it. So what we are saying is the state must understand the critical role of education, and indeed the university education, in a developing country like Nigeria, and be more responsible. The conviction of our union is that there's enough money in this country to fund education if government makes it a priority. Recently, toxic fuel was imported into Nigeria, and government looked for money to clear it without putting anybody behind bars. We were told $1 million donated to Afghanistan. The budget of the National Assembly is much more than the education budget in Nigeria. So let's not, and as I speak with you, government is not wholly funding the universities. There are universities, public universities, where students pay as much as 200,000, 145,000, etc. So, but what we are saying is that government cannot abdicate its role in university education like they have done in public primary and secondary schools. So we work, and to also inform you, each time we put proposals before government, there are ideas about how to fund, novel ideas about how to fund education. But we have a ruling elite who hardly read, and consequently, once they see the document, people read on their behalf. So before they get to where critical suggestions are, I listened to the Senate president who said that the 2009 agreement is unrealistic. And I asked him the question, which is here to answer. Did you read the agreement? How did you come to the conclusion that the agreement is unrealistic? Because contained in that same agreement are proposals to fund the agreement, like we did, which led to the creation of TED Fund, that is today government's cash cow. They are not even spending the entire proceeds from TED Fund on public universities in Nigeria. And that's why now even the leadership of that institution is being politicized. So the issue is about government's priority, government's desire, and of course, their paymasters who they report to outside Nigeria, who dictate, policy direction in Nigeria. It's unbelievable for a government in Nigeria to say that they don't have money to spend on education. So what are they spending money on? Tell me one sector.
For a subsidy, for example.
Which we were told by these same people in government that there's no subsidy. But today when they are in the saddle, subsidy is skyrocketing, and now nobody can even account for it. The last time, 600 and something billion for subsidy.
Okay. Dr. Ashiru, I want to thank you very much. I don't want this conversation to degenerate into hate speech. Okay?
No, you see, we are stakeholders in the Nigerian system. And unless we take a holistic look, at all of these issues, we may not be able to understand what is really happening to our universities.
Okay, so which political party is ASUU likely to support?
ASUU is a non-political organization.
Okay.
And I mean, we have not joined any political party, and we are not going to join any political party.
ASUU is completely unconcerned
we are
about the political process.
Apolitical. We are political, but we are not partisan.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Dr.
very
Ashiru.
much.